Today, we're exploring a chilling tale that's been whispered about in the shadows of the rap world.
Friends say it was a Chicago rapper who was gunned down here.
Has been indicted in the murder of a Chicago rapper who was shot in the middle of the day.
5 alleged gang members are now charged with the murder of Chicago rapper FBG Duck.
This is a story of talent, fame, and a deadly feud that's left a trail of victims in its wake. Our focus? The notorious King Von, a rapper whose lyrics were as hard-hitting as his alleged actions. So brace yourselves as we unravel the chilling saga of rappers who were allegedly killed by King Von. Modell, October 2012. In the heart of Chicago, a chilling wave of violence gripped the city, leaving devastation in its wake. A single night witnessed the loss of 2 innocent teenage lives, while 24 others were left wounded and scarred. The streets were transformed into a battlefield marred by senseless aggression and bloodshed. As the night unfolded, the city's police force found themselves grappling with the grim aftermath, as 15 of the victims were linked to rival gangs. Among the casualties was a young boy 17 years who was killed in a hail of bullets. He had set out to meet a girl with him. The victim, Richard Modell, was known to his family as Modell McCambry. It appeared that his fate had become entangled in an ongoing feud between rival factions, making him a target in a deadly game of territorial disputes. On that fateful night, he and his 18-year-old cousin were ambushed as they walked the streets. Modell was rushed to Stroger Hospital, but the wounds to his chest proved fatal. His cousin was also hit, but was rushed to the Northwestern Memorial Hospital. The city of Chicago mourned, grappling with the cruel reality that this was not an isolated incident. 4 others had met a similar fate since the previous Friday night, one of which was a 73-year-old man sitting innocently on a stoop. It took about 10 years for the police to mention Davon Daquan King Von Bennett as one of the persons responsible for Modell's death. At that time, King Von had already been killed. The Chicago Police Department points to him as the primary suspect in the murder. The revelation added to the weight of an already troubling legacy, implicating him in a total of 3 homicides before he died in 2020. A leaked report had emerged detailing King Von's alleged involvement in the 2012 killing of Modell McCambry. Modell was associated with the opposition gang Gangster Disciples. His death was originally attributed to another man named T-Roy. The twist of fate that T-Roy was King Von's best friend raises unsettling questions about the truth concealed for so long. In the eyes of the law, King Von now carries the responsibility for 3 murders, painting a haunting portrait of his past actions. Even while alive, he brazenly boasted about taking more than a dozen lives through his music. Von's death came on November 6, 2020. He and his group got into a fight with Quando Rondo's group outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, Georgia. At about 2:15 a.m., Von was shot many times as the argument suddenly turned violent. Later that day, after being taken to a hospital in severe condition, he passed away there. He was 26 at the time. According to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, there were 2 fatalities and 6 injuries. While receiving medical attention for a gunshot wound, one of them was taken into police custody for the murder of King Von. The suspect was revealed to be rapper Timothy Leaks, also known as Lul Tim, who is a member of Quando Rondo and is 22 years old. Von was buried 1 week later in Chicago, Illinois. P5 in the South Side Woodlawn neighborhood of Chicago. A tragic incident unfolded on a Tuesday morning in October 2012. At 9:13 a.m., gunshots rang out in the 6200 block of South Eberhard Avenue, resulting in the fatal shooting of a 23-year-old man, Derek Johnson, who was also known as P5 or Crack from Jarrow City. He was rushed to John H. Stroger Jr. Hospital of Cook County, but succumbed to his injuries at 9:54 a.m., as confirmed by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. There were strong implications that famous rapper King Von was somehow involved in the incident, but he was never arrested for it. During Von's lifetime, both he and members of O Block taunted P5's death. King Von's habit of posting potentially incriminating texts on his social media was both controversial and concerning. Von's tweets and posts often hinted at involvement in violent incidents, leading to speculation and implications regarding certain incidents, including the deaths of P5 and Model. King Von's post one day before P5 was killed appears to suggest that he was not spending much time with his friend T-Roy, possibly implying that T-Roy had been involved in more violent acts than himself. The mention of catching up and needing time indicates a concerning mentality surrounding violence. King Von's post one day after P5 was killed mentions a problem with T-Roy and indicates an ongoing pattern of violence and criminal activity. He also used a casual tone to speak on the serious matter. King Von's also posted the day after P5 was killed, expressing disturbing thoughts suggesting he might be struggling mentally. On a post 1 week after P5 was killed, King Von made use of gang-related language. language, further implicating himself in a violent lifestyle and potentially promoting retaliation. King Von's post 2 weeks after P5 was killed continues the pattern of using gang-related language and shows a lack of remorse or sensitivity towards the loss of life. He also tweeted P5 and Modell acknowledging their deaths, but didn't provide any insight into the circumstances or express condolences. Von's next tweet about P5 and Modell seems to trivialize their deaths by suggesting a potential future killing. In this tweet, he said, "Damn, Modell got killed in OST and crack. Who need get killed in Nov, stay tuned." He also tweeted to someone called Wooski about Modell and P5, suggesting a level of familiarity and involvement in their gang affiliations and activities, raising suspicions about his potential role. King Von was killed about 8 years later. The social media posts from family and friends of P5 in response to King Von's death were filled with joy and satisfaction. It was evident that they harbor strong animosity towards Von due to his rumored involvement in P5's killing. P5's cousin, Robert Grayer, expressed his elation at the news of King Von's death, indicating that he had longed for this day to come. His use of the hashtag #KingCrack was a reference to P5 and a celebration of retribution. P5's brother, in his post, implied that they had managed to retaliate against those involved in P5's killing by catching 2 individuals. A post from Gucci from Jaro City simply said, "Long live crack," a tribute to P5, expressing a desire for his memory to live on despite the events surrounding his death. Boss Trell. In one of his tweets, King Von hinted a death would come just a month after the deaths of Modell and P5. His victim this time would be Boss Trell. On a fateful day in November 2012, the streets of Chicago witnessed another tragic act of violence. 17-year-old Rodney Boss Trell Stewart was the victim this time. Boss Trell was a member of the Gangster Disciples gang. He was left critically wounded by a gunshot to the head. Despite desperate efforts to save him, Boss Trell succumbed to his injuries. In the aftermath of the shooting, the Chicago Police Department made a troubling discovery, claiming they found a gun on Boss Trell. This added an unsettling layer to the circumstances surrounding his untimely death. Described by his grandmother as a good kid with aspirations for a brighter future, Boss Trell had plans to relocate to Iowa, seeking a fresh start away from the dangerous streets. Tragically, he never got the chance to embark on this journey, as he was killed just 2 days before his planned departure. Despite his young age, Boss Trell's name echoed through the alleys and in the lyrics of rap songs, glorifying his association with the Gangster Disciples. Cash Out, another member of the gang, immortalized Boss Trell in a song titled "Dear Boss Trell," depicting him as a formidable force and a fearsome shooter. Such glorification fueled speculations that Boss Trell's murder might have been an act of retaliation by rival gangs. In particular, some believed his death was in response to the earlier killing of Sheroyd Liggins, a rival member of the Black Disciples gang, and rumors swirled about Boss Trell's possible involvement in that crime. Years later, the mother of King Von's rival, rapper FBG Duck, courageously stepped forward, shedding light on a dark chapter of Modell's death. According to her, King Von, along with his friend T. Roy, is accused of playing a role in the killing of Boss Trell. These allegations surfaced shortly after an FBI witness claimed that the Chicago rapper had placed a hit on FBG Duck. Yet as the revelations emerged, the details remained clouded, leaving the truth obscured. Duck's mother acknowledged this uncertainty, recognizing that only those directly involved truly know what transpired. In a poignant video clip, she poured her heart out, hinting at a spiritual connection between the events and the timing of her nephew's fateful post, just days before his tragic end. Many people continue to celebrate the admirable legacy these people left behind, even though these cases expose so much suffering. King Von's estate, for instance, honored his memory with the release of a video for his track, "Get It Done," commemorating what would have been his 28th birthday. Even as some sought solace in the notion that things might have smoothed out, Duck's mother refuted the sentiment, underscoring the enduring pain caused by these cases. Gakira Barnes. Gakira Barnes was nicknamed Lil Snoop by a friend, but she preferred the moniker K.I., a name that would resonate across social media and among her peers. Mythic tales of her fearlessness and vengeance spread like wildfire, painting her as a gunslinging avenger who would stop at nothing to get revenge for her murdered friends, a persona she seemingly embraced wholeheartedly. Disturbing images surfaced on Instagram after her tragic death on April 11, 2014. These images portrayed a gap-toothed girl brandishing a variety of firearms, the embodiment of the tough shooter she was rumored to be. Senior members of her Flyboy gang lauded her audacity, painting her as someone to be feared and admired in equal measure. However, despite the allegations surrounding her actions, no convictions for serious crimes ever marred her record, nor was she ever formally named a suspect in a shooting. Her mother, Chantel Brown, acknowledges that her daughter was not without flaws, but she vehemently opposes the skewed perception created by social media. Behind the tough exterior lay a beautiful and loved girl who shared cherished moments with her family, dreaming of a better life away from the violence that surrounded surrounded her. Graduating from the Charter Perspective IT Math and Science Academy, she was hopeful for a brighter future. Gakira's life was marked by an early tragedy, as her father was killed when she was just an infant. This profound loss fueled her determination to be self-reliant and protective of those she cared about, forming bonds with those who shared her experiences. Despite her youthful appearance, she had an instinctual desire to safeguard those she loved from harm. As she entered her teenage years, K.I. found herself entangled with the St. Lawrence Boys, or the Flyboy Gang, in Woodlawn on Chicago's South Side. The gang's identification with the fallen Tuka, a young member named Shondale Gregory, led to the naming of the group as the Tuka Gang and the neighborhood as Tukaville. Gakira herself adopted the Facebook name Tukaville Kira. Throughout the conflict between Tukaville and O-Block, K.I.'s name was linked to various killings, with some labeling her as the Hitta, but K.I. still held her friends close to her heart. Notably, she mourned the death of 13-year-old Taekwon Tyler, who was killed by a stray bullet in June 2012. Taekwon was like her own little brother, so she adopted the Twitter handle Taekwon Assassin in his honor. In November 2013, rapper Chief Keef further ignited trouble with a tweet referencing the murder of one of K.I.'s friends, Tutu, contributing to the ongoing hostilities. On April 9th, 2014, Mario Blood Money Hess, Chief Keef's cousin and collaborator, was shot and killed. There were online rumors naming K.I. as the alleged Hitta. However, the police did not officially name her as a suspect. The relentless cycle of violence seemed inescapable, with another loss occurring just 12 days before K.I.'s death when police shot and killed 19-year-old Rayson Lil B. Shaw. Faced with multiple tragedies, K.I. couldn't help but voice her grief and frustration on social media, where the pain of the streets intertwined with the virtual world. On the day of her death, a hooded gunman mercilessly attacked K.I. on Eberhart Street. Despite the desperate efforts of a neighbor and paramedics, she could not be saved. The aftermath saw friends posting images of her with guns while someone began tweeting in her name, immortalizing her spirit and strength. Amid the chaos, K.I.'s mother stepped forward to show the world the real Gakira Barnes, the 17-year-old girl with dreams and aspirations beyond the violence surrounding her. The loss of her daughter, a protector at heart, weighed heavily on her soul, feeling powerless in the face of such tragedy. In the aftermath, she contemplated organizing a Million Mom March, uniting mothers who had experienced the devastating loss of a child, regardless of the circumstances. Gakira Barnes was buried near her father, who was killed on her very first Easter. In 2021, revelations from unsealed police documents seemed to shed light on the identity of the person believed to have pulled the trigger on the day of K.I.'s death. According to these documents, witnesses named rapper King Von, rumored to be a member of the Black Disciples, as the alleged shooter. The report describes the chilling sequence of events as an unknown figure wearing a gray hoodie and blue jeans approached the K.I. and two others. The assailant opened fire, striking all three. The assailant then swiftly fled the scene in an unidentified vehicle. Police investigations pointed to King Von, whose real name is Davon Bennett, as the alleged perpetrator, and he was positively identified as the offender in the document. Despite the mounting evidence, the police did not have enough proof to charge King Von with the killings, resulting in no formal charges filed against him in connection with Gakira Barnes' death. FBG Duck, August 2020, just 3 months before the death of King Von rapper FBG Duck, whose real name was Carlton Weekly, was killed in a vicious act of violence. On a fateful Tuesday at 4:30 p.m. local time, tragedy struck as 4 assailants emerged from 2 cars, opening fire and leaving Weekly fighting for his life. The incident unfolded in the Gold Coast area, a luxurious and fashionable shopping district adjacent to downtown Chicago. The city's police force is grappling with a grim reality as the murder rate had skyrocketed, surging an alarming 152% compared to the previous year. Amid the chaos, 2 other individuals, a man and a woman, were also struck by gunfire and rushed to the hospital for medical attention. As the authorities worked tirelessly to investigate the incident, they scoured security camera footage in hopes of identifying the perpetrators. The Gold Coast area, normally known for its safety, was marred by the shocking act of violence. Weekly's ascent in the music industry was met with acclaim when his hit single Slide gained popularity in 2018. The song was later remixed by 21 Savage. As a prominent figure in Chicago's drill music scene since 2013, he released 4 albums and numerous solo singles alongside his rap crew Flyboy Gang. The news of Weekly's death reverberated through the community, leaving many in mourning. Good Kids Mad City, a student anti-violence group, expressed their grief on Twitter, acknowledging the impact of his loss. According to community activist Jamal Green, friends of Weekly shared that he had just exited Saks Fifth Avenue when the tragic incident occurred. The loss of this young idol deeply affected the city's youth, and the community faced the challenge of helping young people cope with the pain pain and uncertainty that follows such a senseless act. The tragic loss of FBG Duck deeply impacted both the music industry and the community. Vlad TV had an emotional conversation with Lashina Weekly, FBG Duck's mother, where she shared heartfelt memories of her beloved son. She covered the specifics of FBG Duck's dying moments. Before the fatal shooting, it was earlier stated that Duck was with several people. However, Lashina disclosed that Duck was just with a female partner. She claimed that for the previous 2 years, Duck had only traveled and lived with family members who were also authorized to carry firearms. There were also rumors that King Von was behind the murder, but in a surprising turn of events, King Von took to Twitter to share details about his relationship with FBG Duck. Von disclosed that just before Duck's untimely death, they had settled their differences and were in the process of mending their relationship. In his tweet on September 16, 2020, King Von expressed his commitment to bringing their communities together for positive change. Despite past conflicts and even dissing each other's deceased loved ones, they had chosen to focus on unity and a better future for their community. The tweet read, "Me and Duck settled our differences right before he passed. We was talking about bringing everybody together as a whole and changing the community for the better. I'ma still stand on that every step of the way. I'ma be thinking of you, even do you diss my dead homies and family." To honor their newfound camaraderie, King Von announced a collaboration between the two, a song that they had worked on together. He contemplated releasing it right away or holding it for his album, even considering featuring another respected artist, Lil Durk, on it. But new information would arise that would make the reconciliation between King Von and Duck sound like a hoax. According to a witness statement provided to FBI agents, there are claims that King Von allegedly wanted FBG Duck dead and had offered a staggering $100,000 bounty for his life. The aftermath of Duck's death resulted in a series of retaliatory killings between the two rival gangs that he and King Von were associated with. The witness statement, published by a Chicago rap blog, sheds light on the alleged plot to target FBG Duck due to his rap music, which was seen as disrespectful to deceased members of the Black Disciple Gang, a rival to the Gangster Disciple Gang, with which FBG Duck was affiliated. According to the witness, King Von initially offered a reward of $50,000 to anyone who would carry out the hit and later increased it to $100,000. The witness's 29-page document reveals disturbing detail, claiming that after FBG Duck's death, King Von celebrated with fellow gang members and even commemorated the incident by purchasing custom-made necklaces for the O-Block GDs, allegedly responsible for the murder. The witness identified 4 individuals from O-Block who were purportedly involved in the murder, including Charles Liggins, Kenneth Robertson, Carlos Offord, Christopher Thomas, and Marcus Smart. These men now face serious charges, such as murder in aid of racketeering, firearms violations, and assaults in aid of racketeering. Smart, known by the alias Muop, is identified in the document as someone who may have been involved in multiple killings on behalf of O-Block. Malcolm Stuckey. In a tragic turn of events, 19-year-old Malcolm Stuckey's life was cut short as he pulled up to his friend's birthday party in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood. A bullet, fired from a Smith & Wesson pistol purchased through an illegal sale in Mississippi, struck him in the head, making him an innocent victim of gang violence. Malcolm, a college student from the suburbs of Chicago, fell victim to the consequences of the lax gun laws in Mississippi, which facilitated easy access to firearms used in crimes hundreds of miles away in Illinois. On that fateful afternoon of May 29, 2014, a vibrant party was underway at 5722 South LaSalle Street, a quaint 2-story house divided into 3 apartments. The location sat a couple of blocks east of Interstate 94, with the Museum of Science and Industry just 3 miles straight west, where Stuckey worked. The neighborhood had a patchwork of vacant lots and rundown houses. The party was for the son of a woman named Laminda Jones. Among the guests at the birthday celebration, King Von, before Stuckey's arrival, Von noticed 2 rival gang members at the party and wisely decided to distance himself from any potential trouble. Jones, the gracious host and cook of the day, reminded Bennett not to cause any commotion in her house. With a smile, Bennett assured her that he meant no harm and promptly left the premises. However, fate had a different plan in store for this young rapper, whose life would later take a tragic turn. Though acquitted of the murder of Stuckey in 2014, it was apparent that King Von's past was not devoid of brushes with the law. Having spent time behind bars since the tender age of 16, his life had already taken a tumultuous path. Yet, as the party continued, Bennett's mind was still preoccupied with the confrontation earlier on. Unable to let go, he decided to act on his emotions. He grabbed a friend for backup before issuing a warning to a partygoer over the phone. He urged them to keep the children safe by bringing them indoors. With his newly acquired .40 caliber Smith & Wesson, purchased just 2 months earlier in Mississippi by Von's friend Jonathan Smalley, King Von made his return to LaSalle Street. Smalley, a person with an alarming collection of 32 guns gathered in the Natchez area from 2009 to 2016, had some of his firearms, including Bennett's, recovered by the Chicago police within their city limits, leading to federal charges against him in 2016. The day took a tragic turn as the unsuspecting college student Malcolm Stuckey arrived at the party. Stuckey, who had no affiliation with any gang, had joined the gathering to play basketball with other partygoers before enjoying the delicious food prepared by Jones. Meanwhile, Bennett and his fellow black disciple, Michael Wade, arrived in a friend's Oldsmobile Alero just a block away. As they approached the house by cutting through an alley, one of Bennett's rivals caught sight of them and quickly fled the scene. In hot pursuit, Bennett fired shots as he chased the fleeing rival toward LaSalle Street. Wade, too, joined in the hail of bullets. Tragically, as this violent episode unfolded, Stuckey was innocently smoking a cigar on the sidewalk, unaware of the danger closing in on him. As the event played out, Bennett was heard shouting after his rivals, questioning their escape. The chase and gunfire continued relentlessly, resulting in devastating consequences. Stuckey was found face down on the grass, bleeding profusely, and he tragically succumbed to his injuries, still wearing his work uniform. About 2 months after the tragic incident, authorities apprehended Michael Wade, and King Von Vaughn, exhibiting defiance, chose not to cooperate with the police during the investigation. On the other hand, Wade initially decided to cooperate and even agreed to testify against his friend. However, as time passed, Wade had a change of heart and withdrew his promise to testify against Bennett. The case faced significant challenges, especially when police discovered the Smith & Wesson allegedly used by Bennett in a separate shooting, now in the possession of another Chicago man, almost a year after the arrests. Eventually, both Bennett and Wade were acquitted of murder, though Wade did receive a conviction for aggravated battery with a firearm. He was sentenced to 28 years for his involvement in the LaSalle Street shooting. His attorney mentioned that he was working on an appeal for his conviction. Malcolm Stuckey's upbringing was centered on his family and church. He diligently went to work at the museum, but he deliberately avoided the city. According to his sister, Madaisha Stuckey, he was cautious when he did venture into town, aware of the need to stay alert. Importantly, Malcolm had no involvement with gangs or firearms. He was an advocate for peace. His half-brother, Gotti Wallace, described Malcolm as a peacemaker, always ready to intervene and mediate in conflicts. Whenever Wallace found himself in fights, Malcolm would step in, taking him away to play basketball and clear his mind. During his time at Crete Money High School in the suburban outskirts of Chicago, Malcolm Stuckey showcased his determination as a basketball player, even after a knee injury required him to wear a brace. As recalled by Eric Green, a former security guard at the school, Malcolm's cheerful and outgoing demeanor made him stand out. He possessed a broad circle of friends, known as the friendly kid who got along with everyone, whether they were in the band, show choir, or any other group that often went unnoticed. In the aftermath of the events surrounding rappers who were killed by King Von, a sense of tragedy and loss hangs heavy, leaving behind a legacy of violence and sorrow. Click the link on your screens to watch more videos like this one.